this year's anniversary, somehow we were anticipating some, I won't say pomp and pageantry, but some kind of activity to mark NSAS. But there was silence.
It is a conspiracy theory that they're actually going to conjuring, which actually make logical sense if you want to look at it, because the Free Nnamdi Kanu protests took over social media waves throughout the whole of yesterday. And if you live in Abuja, like we do live in Abuja, we also experience a whole lot of that. I mean, we saw traffic being, so all attention was there. Now, going back to again, is it that young people were tired? No, they were not. But let me also dig deeper to say that when we do NSAS, the work on remembrance, what are we actually remembering?
Of course, it's an anniversary. Yes, we are thinking about how it started, where we are now. But if the fact is still there, if there are people who are still not safe, if there are people recently with the rise of AI and all these meta glasses, we still see some things on social media. It depends on the account. I'm not saying it has not reduced.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, has it stopped? No.
No, it did not stop. Maybe probably I asked the question. Let me go back and answer that question.
Okay.
And I said that why are we doing NSAS remembrance memorial in the first place? And the reason why we are doing NSAS work in October 2020 is simply because of the alleged or the perceived people that died at Lekki Toll Gate.
I don't think NSAS would have been a movement that continued longer than it was supposed to happen, right? If not for the tragedy that happened. The truth is that a tragedy happened October 2020, right?
So the thing again,
we know.
Sorry,
I know.
Can I come
because for the NSAS protest, I was there.
Hi, welcome to yet another edition of Black or White. Of course, on this edition, we'll be looking at October 20th, a very significant day in the history of Nigeria and Nigerians, especially for young Nigerians. Now, this year's October 20th, which was supposed to mark the anniversary of NSAS, as we remember the lives that were lost and people who suffered some tragedy during that day, it remains fresh in most Nigerians, but sadly, this year's remembrance was very quiet. In fact, the silence was so deafening that we had to ask a number of questions. Those questions will come up in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick breather just to remind you to follow, like, share, and most importantly, don't forget to click on the notification button so that every time we drop a video, you get notified and follow us right here on Black or White. We'll be back shortly. Yes, it's still Black or White, and if you just joined us, well, welcome. Today we are looking at the October 20th anniversary of NSAS. This year took a different turn. There seems to be silence across the nation, giving rise to a number of questions. Have the young people who were at the vanguard of NSAS, have they forgotten? Or has something changed that all of a sudden there was so much silence that it became deafening? In fact, if you ask me, the silence was loud. But as always, I've got a full house. I've got Victor. Victor, it's nice to have you join us on this edition of Black or White.
Yeah, thank you very much, John.
And of course, I've got Merciful. Are you going to be merciful on us today?
God have mercy
And my winged woman. Yeah, she's here. She's all in green, looking delectable. Hi, precious.
Hi.
Well, it's good. It's good to have your smile. Well, as I said, this year's anniversary, somehow we were anticipating some, I won't say pomp and pageantry, but some kind of activity to mark NSAS. But there was silence. In fact, the entire atmosphere took a different turn. It took a different narrative with the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest. Let me start with you, Victor. What's your reaction? Why does it look as if all of a sudden the young people who were at the forefront of NSAS seem to go silent? Have all their demands been met? Have their expectations been met? Or they've just simply chosen not to fight anymore?
Well, first off, let me start this off from a conspiracy theorist's point of view. Yesterday was the 5th anniversary of NSAS.
Yeah.
And then that was also when we had
Free Nnamdi Kanu now.
the Kanu protest. So, conspiratorially, we will say that Showore did that, or that protest happened intentionally so as to divert attention away from NSAS. Because
are you suggesting that the conversation?
So.
I am not suggesting. I am posing
that Showore was sponsored to have that protest. Are you alluding to that?
I am not alleging. I am posing. It is a conspiracy theory that they're actually going to conjuring, which actually make logical sense if you want to look at it, because the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest took over social media waves throughout the whole of yesterday. And if you live in Abuja, like we do live in Abuja, we also experience a whole lot of that. I mean, we saw traffic being, so all attention was there. Now, going back to again, is it that young people were tired? No, they were not. But let me also dig deeper to say that when we do NSAS, the work on remembrance, what are we actually remembering? What is it? What is the significance of NSAS?
The end of SARS.
And
the end of tyranny.
So you see, the protest NSAS was very specific in its agenda. NSAS, SARS has ended. And you know, in your opening question, you asked whether it achieved its purpose, or young people are tired of doing whatever. It achieved its purpose. And so government came out, the IGP as at that time also came out to look like, oh, okay, we are putting an end to SARS. Currently, we do not have SARS, but we have other kind of.
We're looking at it too technically. NSAS, if we're saying the protest was called NSAS, but it was beyond that. We had the police brutality. The question is, are those things still happening?
But again is at the level, at the frequency of where you used to have those kind of police brutality before pre-NSAS protests of that magnitude in 2020. Do you still have it up to now?
I'm throwing the question back to you. Have you ever experienced brutality, police brutality in Nigeria?
Me? In Lagos, I have.
In Lagos? What have you in Abuja?
In Abuja, I haven't.
So how can you measure if it has stopped or not? So we still have Nigerians.
Because I see travel.
So that's why I said I think we're looking at it too technically. There are Nigerians, of course it's an anniversary. Yes, we are thinking about how it started, where we are now. But if the fact is still there, if there are people who are still not safe, if there are people, recently with the rise of AI and all these meta glasses, we still see some things on social media. It depends on the account. I'm not saying it has not reduced.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, has it stopped? No.
No, it did not stop. Maybe probably I asked a question. Let me go back and answer that question.
Okay.
And I said that why are we doing NSAS remembrance? Memorial in the first place. And the reason why we are doing NSAS work on October 2020 is simply because of the alleged or the perceived people that died at Lekki Toll Gate.
I was going to ask that.
Okay. So that was the memorial.
Are we suggesting that people didn't die on that day? Are we suggesting that the narrative that followed NSAS, the climax of the NSAS protest, was a hoax?
Okay, so the NSAS protest, right, was not just about ending SARS. It was a movement that was an umbrella for a lot of other things: end bad governance, end SARS. It was actually the end SARS that was the frontliner, right? That led to other things like end bad governance, accountability, Buhari must go, and all of that. So it was during the NSAS protest that all of these other things came about, right? Now the remembrance, I don't think NSAS would have been a movement that continued longer than it was supposed to happen, right? If not for the tragedy that happened. The truth is that a tragedy happened October 2020, right?
So the thing again
we know.
Sorry,
I know.
Can I come
because for the NSAS protest, I was there. That 2020, I was there. I was not there that night.
You were in
I was not. I was at the toll gate.
That night?
I have pictures. I have videos. No,
that night
I was not there, but I left, right? Because I saw the people that were coming, so I had to leave. Right? So you will not say that the people that actually witnessed what was happening, or the videos, because they were live recordings of what happened. They were live streamings of what happened, right? You won't say that those people made it up. And it's not like now that AI is now like on the rise, that you'd say someone doctored the video, right? Those things were there and people saw it. And it was because of those lives that were lost when Nigerians were fighting for... When Nigerians were fighting for... When Nigerians... It's not about...
That's what I was talking about.
One life
let's
is
not
important.
be too technical.
One life is important.
We are not being technical. Okay, sorry. So the question is, when I ask how many lives were lost, it's not that I'm discounting lives that were lost,
okay,
maybe
so
based on number, yeah. But the narrative around NSAS that at that Lekki Tollgate incident was that soldiers opened fire on protesters directly, and soldiers move around with rifles, the AKs. I don't know if anybody has experience with firearms. Do you know what an AK is? We'll go back to this in Kolade Joseph, or Johnson rather, died. He was in a viewing center. He was not participating in any of whatever SARS were doing or chasing whatever.
Trigger happy policeman.
And trigger happy. The police did not target him. The police were just shooting with an AK. He was in a viewing center. The bullet flew all the way to go and hit him. That is the power of an AK.
So what's your narrative?
Now, my narrative is saying is that if the soldiers actually opened live firearms on the protester, more lives, it should have been disaster. We would have had actually a massacre, to the point whereby we are not investigating. We will see the bodies, the blood, everybody. Do you think that you can just wash up blood that way? Now, hold up. I'm not holding brief for government. I'm just saying that, and maybe we'll go back. I'm just saying that when we are looking at issues here, let us be more objective around this so that we address the problems that we are trying to solve. And which is the reason why when you come back, you said, Mr. John, that this year's remembrance was deafening. Silence. Why? It's because there's nothing to build on.
What do you mean by
No, I totally disagree with you.
No, there's nothing to build on the fact that a whole lot of things were misinformation.
Okay, so
that's
you're
your
trying
point
to
of
say
view.
that the reason why the silence is deafening this
And what
year
now happened,
is because what
a
happened
lot
did
of
not
other
happen.
people who are political actors capitalize on that NSAS movement. So the young people being angry, you capitalize on them, and then you move somewhere. See, again, I'm somebody that I think that I've grown at a particular level in terms of knowledge, experience, intellect as well, yeah? And I don't like populism. And then populism seems to be the order of politics, even in current. Yeah, you take out logical reasoning, and then you move on to let's say, let us do things that just pleases the people, or let us just say things that please the people, and then we'll move on. And then we have this number of populists working as politicians in this country. But my point is that if in the magnitude, in the sense that we want to remember NSAS, the Lekki Tollgate incident, if it actually happened in that sense, we will always remember what has happened. Everybody who capitalized on the NSAS have moved on with their lives. The FEMCOs have moved on with their lives. The politicians who say, okay, this is the younger generation, they have moved on with their life. They have used that as working on political capital for their own political self, and everybody has moved on.
So should
that
everybody
is
now
why.
move on? Look, I have
but
two
again,
quick questions for you. Two quick questions. The question that was thrown at you was why the deafening silence? Yes,
which I just answered. That.
Yes, you have answered.
Yeah.
So that people who influenced or started a movement have moved on, like you claim. Does it mean
like
that,
I claimed?
Like you're saying?
Okay, I am just retelling you.
Like
not
you
like I'm telling you, I am reenacting it to you. It is there.
That they have moved on.
If you
mean that
if you
the
use
movement
social
becomes
media,
null and void?
So NSAS,
because like she said,
NSAS protest. See, please let us not mistake these things. Yeah, protest is different from a movement.
So what was NSAS?
NSAS was a protest.
It's more than
no,
a
protest. Hold up.
Define what a movement
is. It's a protest. It's not be nationwide.
See, hold up. When it is a movement, it will go through the different stages, about 5 stages of, building a team.
Okay, which are?
Forming, norming, storming, adjournment, and, the rest. That is what a movement will be. A protest is is spontaneous, which is why you're talking about the fact that, it started as, let us end police working on brutality, and then it metamorphosed. Yes, people will always galvanize around an issue, but what governments or people in authorities forget or don't understand is that when people organize around a particular issue, it does not necessarily mean that that issue is the only problem. It snowballs into other things. So they now begin to vent their working on grievances around other issues as well. When you go back to 1789, French working on revolution, we're working on Napoleon, came up and then became a figurehead. What was the issue? The issue was simply that bread was cost, things where inflation was going up, and then protest started. The protest started around that thing and then devolved or snowballed into other areas, which now also had to question Antoniette's lavish lifestyle and all of those things. It's the same thing. Go back recently in Kenya, and working on a financial bill. It started from saying we don't want that tax bill. It now snowballed into other areas like end bad governance, end corruption, whatever. Same thing with SARS. NSAS started. The principal objective of NSAS was achieved.
I disagree.
But
It was anyway, the point is that you.
So you have just said it's not a movement because it has not hit all of the metrics that you have mentioned. So if you now say the principal objective, it means that you are alluding that it was a collected and planned movement.
No.
But you just said it's a protest.
It was a protest.
And they carried placards. They were end bad governance clearly stated, end police brutality clearly stated. There were some 5-point agendas. There were many things. If it was a protest,
5 agendas started when?
Hold on, sir.
The 5 agendas, 5 demands that was led by working at EIE and other NGOs. Where did they come from? They did not come before the protest or when the protest started. It came a couple of days after the protest has been going on.
I agree
with you. Couple of days after the IGP has declared that we are removing SARS from all routes, we are doing this and doing that. It was not a movement. And I'll say again, for instance, when government say, okay, come, let us have a seat, nobody wanted to go because they say we don't have leaders. What movement doesn't have a leader?
It's not true. It's not true. When it was time for the closed door meeting, people went. SAS was there, and not SAS. Fowles was there. Right? What's his name? Macaroni was there. What's
Davido
her name?
went.
I'm talking about DJ. Very popular people.
Davido was there.
I'm not really sure about him.
But
Tauma was there. So
who appointed them as leaders of the people?
That's right.
Because it was a guerrilla movement.
It wasn't.
The question that you posited,
Mr.
John, the question that you threw out from the beginning was why the silence
and I'm still
was
coming
effective?
Back. I'm still coming to that.
And what I personally believe,
that question is double layered, because while the silence may suggest that, in your words, that the brains behind the EndSARS movement have moved on. The political actors who jumped on the bandwagon
they've moved on.
And several other stakeholders. Could it be that it is a deliberate attempt to make Nigerians think and ask a fundamental question, which is, what is the life of a Nigerian worth?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, because if a child, for instance, is asking the mother, every time the mother comes home and says, buy me biscuit, and the mother says no, you do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The child was crying Monday, Tuesday. When it comes to Friday, Saturday, the child just gets used, okay, this woman is not buying me biscuit, and becomes...
You lose hope.
It's almost the same thing that's happening. Some Nigerians, I believe I'm speaking for most Nigerians, do not think that everything that we set out to do, talking about Nigerians, on the 20th of October 2020 has been fully achieved. So they believe, why do we have to still come out, right? That's one way to look at it. Secondly, I'm going to say, when you're measuring the success of something, especially when it comes to a movement or a protest can be started by one person. A movement can be started by one person. That person must not dictate if it has ended.
Exactly.
That person cannot dictate if it has ended, because there are objectives that you're looking out for. There are, demands. And it's clear. It's English. It was not written in Yoruba or something. This thing, in the eye of the right-thinking members of society, has it been fully, has it come to light? You ask yourself, is there the end to bad governance? Is there the end to police brutality? Not talking about, did it reduce? That's why I say let's not be too technical. Remembrances, anniversaries are to remember and check the backlog. Where are we? Is there much that's to be done? So it's totally valid. The question why people are being quiet, which I believe, is because it has not been done. So I believe, is it effective? Was the EndSARS protest, was it as effective to say, let's keep pushing every year, let's come out our numbers? Is it efficient?
For me personally,
listen?
I think we should hold that thought. Let's take a quick breather.
Okay.
Some fresh air, right? We'll be back.
Because the one of Precious
They said
is...
we'll take fresh air.
Precious is...
We'll be back. Just hold the thought. We'll be back in just a moment. It's still Black or White. Thanks for staying with us. And the conversation is getting heated as we look at October 20th, 2025, that marked the 5th anniversary of the EndSARS protest. Now, Victor, on one hand, says, look, it has achieved what it was set to achieve. EndSARS has ended, or SARS has ended. And that's why the deafening silence. On the other hand, Merciful, who is not so merciful, decided that his position is that, look, the fact that there's deafening silence is just to show that the young people are not content with the fact that none or all of their demands are yet to be fully met. And the woman in the house has a loaded chest. So Precious, offload.
Because before we left, we wanted to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I've taken the deep breath, so now I'm back.
Okay.
So personally, I think that what's happening now, the EndSARS protest, for Nigerians, because when it happened, when it was still very trendy, Nigerian youths were of the opinion that they will not forget, we will never forget this. There were documentaries that were done from this EndSARS protest. At least there is one producer that produced the documentary as from the EndSARS protest when he investigated a particular Mr. Wa for SARS, right, and all of that. However, what I'm seeing is something that is a fundamental issue with Nigerians, and just like what he was saying, when a child has demanded something often, and you've told that child no, the child is used
Plainly refused to yield
the
to
child
the child's
is
demand.
used to that's your apathy towards what he or she needs. So he just stops asking. And that's a syndrome that Nigerians actually experience. They are used to when they ask for things.
Especially young people.
Yes, young people. When they try to express their views, they want to ask for things, they are told no, or they're not taken seriously, right? Or their voices are like hushed. And from the EndSARS, it was hushed violently. That was the first. You know that Nigerian youths we have this apathy towards the government and towards governance in the country. We don't want to be involved. If we can just get a remote work, save up enough money and leave this country for the people that are spoiling it, allegedly, right? We can do that. But when the EndSARS protest came about, it was a movement that all Nigerian youths were like, okay, we can do this. We can actually make our voices be heard on the global stage now. And they came out in their numbers. But the way it ended was even though he's still trying to say that, that it was exaggerated, or some people are still of the opinion that it was exaggerated, it ended in a very tragic way. And they went back to their shells, right? And this is something that the perpetrators of the act that made EndSARS become a memorial and made that Lekki Toll Gate to become a memorial site, right? Personally, I believe they were banking on that fact, that trauma that Nigerians have experienced, the Nigerian youths have experienced they're not going to do anything about it.
The Nigerian youths were deliberately
shut down
because fear imputed
exactly so that they don't raise their head anymore. You know, when you say you kill this thing and you kill it from the roots, so that the strength you will gather to rise up again will not be there.
Victor,
right? And that's what is happening now.
Victor, let me, just before he comes in, I want to agree with him when he says that
At
There
last.
are opportunists find opportunity to,
Yeah.
bring about their values, their biases. It's like a leveling ground. Everybody can come and use this opportunity where there's mass attention.
Yes.
People want to know what's
To
happening.
ride on the wave.
I was even going to ask you,
Yeah.
like we were expecting. I want to say, who are we? Who are you? When you say we are expecting, it's still Nigerians, yes, because they believe that this was potent enough to cause a global national shutdown.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're saying we were expecting, it means that Nigerians still believe that this was good enough to bring about a change. So they need more energy, right? It's just psychology. If you're expecting that people should come out, it means that the demands were not met, right?
Yeah.
So why I'm agreeing with him is that people are going to use the opportunity, like he mentioned some people that, coming to...
opportunists.
It's normal, right? It's normal. It's an opportunity where people are looking. So if you are very smart, if you have an ideology you want to push, or you want to talk about something and you want people to hear, you come, bring your placard, write whatever you want to write and put. It's not quieting the noise of the facts that we're facing, right? So it's still valid. And it's not. It should not be a concern to say, oh, since people are coming out, it's not. Nah.
Vic, I know that you want to respond to a few things.
So, yeah, I actually want to respond, but I also realize that, if we want to discuss this answers matter, yeah, I think that for us to have a proper, maybe, dialogue or conversation around it, it has to be in a more grounded space where we have enough time, which we are already running out of time out of this. But I also wanted to disagree to the point where we said that the youth are beaten and down, and so they cannot voice. Let us understand, we are in different times, different ages. So in terms of
Different
mobilization, in terms of working on civic engagement protests, they are taking different forms. For example, the last time they brought out a list of, say, the president exercised his powers to, or working on clemency and pardon for some people. And then the list came out, and some people were looking at the list and say, this kidnapper, how come you gave him clemency? This person, how did you do that? Nobody went to the streets, but the conversation was so loud that the government had to go back and look at it, that Bayo Onanuga had to now issue a press statement to say that the list is just presented to the president. The president has not gone the final approval, which will now be sent to the Comptroller General of prisons or working at correction centers to now release those people. Now, if people did not talk, that wouldn't have happened. So my point is that we are not beaten. Young people are not beaten. Young people are not defeated. Young people are still speaking. Young people are talking about the same matters. Even some of the players who we can say prominent players within the NSAS protest, they are not on the street, but they still use their social media account, their platforms to speak on matters. You can see on some situations, government have to come out to rescind some particular decisions or address on certain situations because people are using their platforms on social media to talk. So I do not basically agree on that. Now, when I'm saying again, let me also conclude on this part that when the NSAS protest was specific. I keep saying it. NSAS, police brutality. Now, the point is whether you attain a 100% result. That is, let us not go into the technical, just like you said, because I do not live in an utopian society. Nowhere. But has it achieved remarkable results? I would say yes. Then, when it now snowballed into other things such as, end bad governance, end corruption, how do you do that? The president cannot come out and say, today I am putting an end to bad governance, and then governance end.
That the other ones were because there are no measurable metrics.
I'm saying, maybe let me put exactly, you cannot measure it because there are no whatever. So just to say it, also to clear a distinction between the protest and the movement. A protest is activism. Movement is advocacy.
Okay.
You go gradually to change results with movement. Protest is that I want it now. Boom. And so NSAS can take a protest. So why NSAS? Because the IGP could come out and say,
within the SARS,
get off the road. And that can happen instantly, but you can't end bad governance like that.
Oh, okay. So so you're trying to say that this is what actually made the movement not to continue.
Like I'll come back again, it was not a movement, it was a protest.
Or the protest.
Yes.
Precious, Victor, where I mean, I think we should have a sequel on this conversation so
should.
that we can effectively
Deal with
cross the
issues.
T's and dot the I's as far as this conversation. So invariably, we're saying that this is just part one of this conversation. And so do well to follow, like, subscribe, and of course, click that notification button when the part two drops. To Victor, Precious, and of course, Merciful, it was quite an engaging conversation.
I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. So watch out for part two of Black on White as we continue to discuss the 5th anniversary of the October 20th NSAS protest.